Dude, we're 3 minutes ahead of schedule. This is different. You're muted. Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
It should not unmute you. That's bullshit.
I don't know why we still have this countdown, although it is nice.
We complain about it every week. Every week I'm like, I want to make a new intro video, and then I don't do it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Kind of how that goes.
Guilty of that. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, dude? We are live again. 26th fucking time.
Dude, 26 episodes. It's like we're almost professional. That's like almost 2 years.
So far from being professional.
If we do one of these a week, that's like 2 years worth of episodes.
Yeah.
And I don't know math.
No, not at all. So there's that.
So there's that. Detroit Public Schools, man.
What's up, man? How was your week? What'd you get done this week?
Nothing, man. A week. Oh, God. I didn't do anything. Oh, no? Restaurants, I was telling you last week, I guess we've been gradually picking up, but last week we had, kind of a jump in numbers, but this week was just an absolute madhouse, man. Like, we're the only restaurant in the city that will do parties over 6. So we're just getting absolutely just slammed. We had a 20 top at like the minute we opened. We opened at 4 and we had 20 people walk in at 4. And then at 5 o'clock, we had another 20 walk in along with our regular reservations. So
I thought there was like restrictions on how big your party can be and shit.
You would think, right? But I don't think
we don't do that no more.
Yeah,
no, I don't think anybody does. I don't think anybody gives a shit.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy out here, man. And
like cases are rising all over the country and everyone's like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, well, once the vaccine hit, they're like, I don't care what, just stick it in my arm. I'm gonna go party. Put it in me.
My parents were over this weekend and they were talking about my uncle and aunt, and they said as soon as they get the vaccine, they're on a fucking plane to Vegas. They're out of here. They're just waiting to get their shot, and they're out of here. They're like, it's time to go.
Super familiar. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
As soon as I get a shot, I'm on a plane to Vegas too.
Hell yeah.
Oh man, well, how was your week, brother?
Man, just slow pace. It was good. Didn't have to do much.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. Oh, dude, we got Gentleman Jack tonight.
Oh, you're gentle. Oh.
Only like a little bit, and then I got a beer. So.
Only a little bit.
I'm going to push that motherfucker out of here. I'm like, God, I can't do this. It's Sunday. I had to work tomorrow.
All right, I'm not going to drink too much. Just a half a bottle of Jack and a beer.
Yeah.
I got something special tonight.
Oh, shit. What's that? Nice.
Yeah, man. It's from here in Colorado, and it was my unit in the Army. Like, apparently, we're way more popular than I thought we were. So
no shit. I can't do vodka that much, man. Vodka makes me sick. I could drink whiskey all day and all night and be fine. Vodka, like 2 shots, and I'm fucked up, and I got a hangover.
Well, I don't drink pop anymore, so I got to drink like something with lemonade, and it's just not like the thing. Like, you don't want to drink. I don't know.
It's cool, man. We can get you a little umbrella to put in that thing.
Don't tempt me, motherfucker. I'll drink that right now.
You're fucking neutering yourself live on Facebook right now.
You know what? Whatever gets the views, bro. Whatever gets the views. If I got to vajazzle myself, I will. Oh, man. So, hey, man, what do you think about here in Colorado? We just had another shooting. I think it was.
It's sad, dude. It really is. It's sad as fuck. And it's weird because it always seems to pick up. There's more shootings once they start talking about gun control. It's like there's more shootings, but it's like the shootings are fucking happening. People are dying. So what are we doing about it? And no one knows, and no one cares really. In the government, they don't give a fuck. They just don't talk about what they're getting voted for. Pink lemonade and vodka.
Yeah, thank you. That's why that's why she's superior to you in every way.
That's why she's the boss. I have to listen to everything she fucking says.
No, yeah, it just doesn't really seem like that no matter what we do. Although, I guess, maybe the smart move here is, when we were in the last presidency, the news was flooded with so much shit that you didn't hear about the shootings.
Yep.
I can't imagine that it didn't happen. But because there's just not that much news, I mean, yeah, we can only watch this guy fall down the stairs so many fucking times. Like,
dude, there's not a limit. I've watched every variation of him falling up and down the stairs.
Yeah.
There's even videos of people made of him falling down the stairs. It's even better. It's even fucking better.
Is this how you do it? This has got to be how it is. The pandemic is coming to an end because mass shootings are back. I can go out without a mask now. I'm gonna go shoot some people. Jesus Christ.
That's really fucked up. Really fucked up. You're definitely a piece of shit. For that.
Oh, shit. Speaking of pandemics, so we got a special guest on tonight. He is currently a nurse working in the medical field, but I don't know if he's still working in the ER, but he was working there during the pandemic, during like the meat and potatoes of the pandemic, pre-mass shooting this year or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah. So
there really was none last year, though, was there?
Well, there might have been. You just never know. That's what I'm saying. So anyway, let's bring him in here and let's talk to him a little bit because I'd love to hear what he has to say here. Nick, what's going on, brother?
Hey.
What's going on, man? How you doing tonight?
What is up, man?
Doing all right. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, of course, man. What are you drinking tonight? Anything?
We didn't have too much notice, so what was in the fridge?
Okay. Reds.
Nice.
Reds. Yeah. You can get as fucked up as you want for $1.50.
Yeah.
They replaced the old Four Locos, man. God,
they really did. I don't know if anything can replace the Four Loco.
That thing is 1.5, and I crawled home.
Remember 1.5 Four Loco. Crash golf carts into shit on Four Loco, drinking Four
Loco.
Well,
that was sober too. It didn't have to be.
No. We would drink a Four Loco in the first 9 and another one in this back 9 and smash our golf carts into each other.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Oh man. So what's up, man? How was your week, Nick? What'd you do this week? Anything good?
Dude, not bad. It's just started getting warm over here in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Doing outside stuff. That's about it. Work. Trying to get outside. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it's nice out here today in Colorado.
Yeah.
Right. Rip Four Loco for sure. Rip me after Four Loco.
Oh my God, I miss him.
No, they're not. No. Anyway, I'm glad that area of my life is over. No, man, it's nice out here in Colorado too. It's like 60 something today, and I think it's supposed to snow on Tuesday. So
wow, yeah, it was snowing a little bit today.
Was it really?
Flurries, yeah. We walked outside. Katie's like, "What the fuck is that snow?"
Yeah, I know. Kate ran out with like sandals and chacos or whatever the hell, and shorts today. It's like, damn, it is nice. No, I try not to go outside on my days off. There's people out there, and it's gross.
Yeah, definitely stare at your screen instead.
This pandemic thing was super easy.
Right? You're the only person. You're like, what happened? We got locked in the house.
If they turned off the internet, though, that'd be a fucking riot. Let me tell you. I'd be in the street shooting people.
But Nick, man, thanks for coming on. Dustin was telling me you were a nurse during the pandemic, and we really wanted to see, it's what you had to say about it. I guess we can start a little bit about yourself, though, man. A little bit about your history. Who are you?
Yeah, no, I'm from Connecticut. I'm 24, been a nurse for almost 2 years, started in the ER. You were saying before, I just left. So I was in the ER for like 1.5 years. But started right before the pandemic and then just left. So definitely got definitely was in the ER for most of the pandemic.
The full brunt of it. Yeah, let me ask you about that, man. You said you were there before the pandemic officially hit. I mean, obviously it was kind of everywhere before it was here, but what was like, do you remember what the kind of the feeling in the air was like, going into like before lockdown, and it's like, hey man, we're going to get hit, and
yeah, shit's coming.
You guys are going to be the ones who are fighting the good fight, What was that like?
It was quick in early March. I would say late December, early January, we were like, what, this is weird. Something's going on, across the water. We're like, it's a pneumonia. And then everyone's like, oh, it's just the flu. We're not going to worry about it. And then all of a sudden, like late February is when like things were talking about being shut down. And that's when it sort of got real. It didn't pick up crazy in the hospital right away. But, as like, when we did the whole 10 days, it was going to be 10 days of quarantine, and then and then it was another week, and then it was a month. So
yeah,
and that's when it started.
Never ending.
Yeah. So how were like the bosses? It's not just like doctors running hospitals. It's the actual bosses. How did they approach the subject for you guys? I mean, you can say what you want about doctors, but we all know the nurses are who really run the fucking joints. So it's like,
Yeah.
Where they like, hey, because we've seen pictures of like nurses wearing just paintball masks and shit, like whatever
Anything, yeah.
on, wearing trash bags and stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like you poor people, it's crazy. As in the restaurant, things are tough too, but we're a pretty small cell. You guys are seeing tons and tons of people, in addition to normal injuries and shit. Like you got to deal with normal.
Yeah.
The world didn't just stop getting hurt and sick because of the pandemic,
Yeah.
So what did they do? Did they come down and they were like, hey, bring your own mask?
Yeah. I can imagine that like administration handled it the best they could.
Yeah.
But it was so no one saw it coming. So it was a mess. And it definitely like it seemed like a mess from the top down, but I don't think anybody really knew how to handle this type of situation. So the rules sort of changed every day when COVID started. It was like we were wearing the respirators all the time, like you said, the paintball masks, and then all of a sudden we were out of masks, and they were like, all right, start reusing your masks, even though they're one-time use. And then, it sort of kind of changed every day. And then it was like, all right, you can wear a surgical mask. And it's like, wait, no, that's not going to protect you from COVID. You got to wear a respirator. And so I don't think anybody knew exactly how to handle it right off the bat, but I don't think that's anyone's fault. I think we're just kind of rolling with the punches.
Now, how big is the hospital that you worked at? Like, no names or anything. We just kind of want to, like, how many patients do you guys normally see, and how many do you hold? And I mean,
what was it like during COVID?
Yeah.
Oof. So I don't know numbers wise. There's basically three large hospitals in the state, and we're one of them.
Right.
So when there's different, like based on the like acuity and the amount of patients that are coming in and need to stay in the hospital, there's different levels. They're called different codes. So during COVID, we were in like code D, or for like code disaster. So it's kind of self-explanatory. There's, all of the usual patients are coming in, all of your trauma patients, and, your regular sick patients, or, people still fall and hit their head, and all these COVID patients. So there's not room for everyone.
Yeah.
And so the hospital fills up, and when the hospital fills up, the ER is filled with people who, are just waiting to, get bed somewhere else in the hospital. That's when you go into like code disaster. So we started, kind of making up floors in the hospital, like things that are not usually places that aren't usually holding patients are now holding patients because there's no room for anyone.
Really?
Wow. A lot of like elective surgeries were being canceled. So like those floors were being used for,
Yeah, well, get your nose job somewhere else. I mean, that's
right, yeah.
Now's not the time, man. That's absolutely wild, man.
Yeah.
That's wild. So you guys were like having people laid up in the cafeteria and shit.
Kinda, yeah.
That's insane.
Wow, that's nuts, man.
And you were there in the middle, huh?
Yeah. But it's like I said, I don't, everyone was doing the best they could in that situation. Like nobody was actually staying in the cafeteria, but we were making space where we could. We're, making space where, we didn't usually need to make space. So.
Yeah. That's wild. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. At this point, you guys are trying to help as many people as possible. And like I said earlier, people are still getting hurt normally. And then you have all this extra stuff too. I mean, did you guys find yourself running out of like respirators, finding yourself running out of?
Oh yeah. So they had to, we were reusing them, and, you would a one-time use mask you were wearing for 12 hours, and then, wearing it again the next day. And again, it's just, we didn't have the supplies. It's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you had to, but I know after that, they really ramped up the supplies. Like now, we've been fine on PPE. Now we have, like you said, the paintball mask. They issued everyone there like their own. So I have my own personal one. I can reuse. Yeah. So
that's awesome. So,
yeah.
And then
how long did it go when it was really bad? When it started, you putting people in hallways and trying to make up different floors. Like how long did that go for? Before it started, people started figuring out what to do and how to handle it.
A while, yeah. So there was like the first wave, and that kind of settled for a little while, and then this winter we kind of had that second wave. So I would say it was the worst part was definitely that first wave. just because not only did we, had no idea it was coming, we didn't know how to treat it. So every day we were learning more and more about it. And, we would be treating one person differently than we did yesterday because we're like, well, that didn't work. But now we have, medications we can use. Like we know what works and what doesn't. So the second wave was definitely managed a little bit better.
Yeah. So, comment section, there's people asking questions, and I'll get to those in just a second. Take us through. So now we're at the end of March, right? We closed down in like the begin kind of first couple weeks of March, right? I think so, if I remember right.
Yeah.
So now we're into March, April. April, you guys are starting to get your feet underneath you, and you're kind of figuring out, okay, this is a real fucking thing. Like we're getting patients by the boatloads. New York is full. Everyone's full. Yeah. Now, are you finding that people are crossing state lines to come to different hospitals just so they can get in a hospital? Did you see any of that, like on the East Coast there?
Yeah, in the beginning, there was a lot of travel from New York to Connecticut, and I heard like real estate wise that people were leaving New York to come to Connecticut.
That's scary. That's scary stuff, man.
Yeah, it's nuts, man.
They're dragging it with them. It's just, especially in that type of pandemic where it's airborne. You're talking like you got to stay where you are.
Right.
That's scary. So in April, May, then how were you? You're still in the ER, right? You're still working ER in May last year.
Yeah.
What were you? Where was the mindset there? Crazy things happening? Like what was?
Yeah, in the beginning, I remember it was like we had that first COVID patient, and like just walking by the room, it's like hold your breath, like you know what I mean. But then, yeah, exactly. But then before you knew it, it was everybody was coming with COVID. Like I remember the one thing I remember is I remember sitting right in the middle, and there was 4 different rooms around me, 4 different people.
Sitting in the middle of where? Sorry, take us through it.
So like sitting at the like where you sit and like you got your computers and there's all patient rooms around you.
Oh, like the nursing station.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember 4 people at the exact same time all come in. They all need like life support, like a breathing tube down their throat, all at the same time. And I just remember thinking like, all right, well, this is what they were talking about. Like this, we're in the middle of it now. Yeah, and it was quick. It came pretty quick. Definitely.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. So you were sitting. So they were brought in through ambulance, I'm assuming.
Yeah, like all at the same time.
Just
different space, different places. And that's the thing. Like these people would be okay for they'd be like, oh, I didn't feel good for a week, and then they'd be like, all of a sudden within like 30 minutes, couldn't breathe, passed out. Like so.
Oh wow.
So Ray had a question. What age group did you see the most of it? Now we're talking about like you're starting to see people coming in. What were those ages of those people that you started to see? We're talking like April, May. I'm gonna try to do this like a timeline here.
It's hard to say. Like the sicker ones, like the ones who needed the breathing tubes and stuff. Mostly like 50 plus. But they were what's that?
Prior breathing issues, or just they were healthy a week ago and now they're in the hospital?
A lot of them did have not just breathing issues, but like other medical issues. But a lot of them didn't too.
Okay.
A lot of them didn't, and there was also maybe it's just the ones that stick out, but there was definitely a good amount of people under that age group who didn't do well with COVID. So
yeah, so it's scary. It was just kind of everybody, huh?
Yeah, it was everybody and anyone. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
So what was it like trying to deal with this? Talking April, May, when everyone on the news it's all politics now. It's you guys are being used, nursing and the medical field is being used in politics. And what does it feel like when you're trying to save people's lives and you deal with this bullshit? And like your sister said too, the fake people. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
How do you people who think COVID's fake? Well, how are you dealing with it, trying to save people's lives and people talking about the disease is fake?
Yeah, I've said it since the beginning. I can't stand how a pandemic it has become so political. I don't get it.
Thank you.
I don't understand.
Thank you.
It should be like, yeah, it really shouldn't be.
COVID didn't vote for Trump.
Right. whether you want to wear a mask or you don't,
matter.
Or whether you're getting the vaccine or you're not. It's not. You're not conservative or liberal because you want to get the vaccine or you don't, or wear a mask or you don't. You know what I mean? It's just like
this shit. Like it's like a bullet is not racist. That shit will kill anyone. It don't matter.
It's just yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's wild. So did you have to when you were having patients come in and they're like, hey, I'm having breathing issues, and you swab them or whatever you were doing at the time, and you're like, hey, you got COVID, and they're like, did you ever have anybody say, oh no, I don't, that shit's
COVID's fake.
That's the thing. That's what's weird about COVID is like, so we started basically doing it where everyone who's getting admitted to the hospital, whether you fell and hit your head, or you have pneumonia or something, everyone's getting swabbed for COVID. So we don't put non-COVID people with COVID people, right?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So it would always be the people I would go to swab. I'm like, we had to test you just so we don't put you with someone with COVID. And they're like, oh, I don't have it. They came in for like a broken leg. Those are the people who always have it. The ones, you know what I mean? And you weren't wearing your mask around them because they didn't have any symptoms of COVID. So that's why we started wearing the mask all the time, because
Yeah.
Man, you see those pictures. So, on the internet, obviously, you can only really see what they post, but man, you got like the rips in your skin and the early on where you're wearing these masks that are, 12, 15-hour shifts working in the ER, and your face is just destroyed from wearing masks and stuff.
Yeah.
That's rough, man. You guys, I mean, that's an insane thing to have to deal with, That's
better than getting COVID though, wearing the mask for that long.
Did you ever get it?
No, and I had my antibodies tested. I have no idea how I didn't get it. I have no
Really?
idea.
You didn't get it?
No, I never got it. Yeah.
Wow, okay. I had thought I heard something about you. You did get it at one point, but
No.
that's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Which is another weird thing about COVID, because it's always the people who come in with COVID too that are always like, I haven't left the house in this long. I've worn my mask the entire time. And meanwhile, I'm working around COVID patients every day, and
people are coughing into your open mouth.
Right, exactly.
You're seeking it out, baby birding them.
Yeah. So it's weird. I'm curious to see what we're going to know about COVID in like 5 years. And then we're going to look back and say, I wish we knew this back then. We could have.
That's
wow, we fucked that up.
Right. So we didn't know.
Ventilators.
Yeah, we didn't know that. The best thing to do for these people in April of last year, someone who can't breathe, you put them on a ventilator. Now we know, it might be better off waiting, even though, your instinct is to say this person needs to go on a ventilator. Like, turns out that's not always the best option. So
really,
every day, yeah.
So why is that? Actually, I never heard that before. I heard like, hey, if you can't breathe, we're sticking a tube down your throat. You're breathing.
Wait, so if you can't breathe, like, basically, like, the point of you breathing is, to oxygenate your body, oxygenate your tissues and stuff. But what happens is when, we put people on the ventilator is that it's difficult to get them off is the problem. Like, we'll try to wean down the amount of oxygen we're giving them. And it was difficult to get those people off. So basically, like, they would never be able to come off the ventilator. Now, what we're realizing is, instead of putting someone right on a ventilator, we have other options of getting people to oxygenate. So we have something called, high flow oxygen, which, kind of blasts oxygen through your nose. And, now we have medications that are treating COVID. So instead of, jumping the gun, this person's going to breathing tube, there's other options. So.
Did you guys ever have to deal with like the chloroquine thing, people demanding it or refusing it because Trump said it or didn't say it? Or
yeah, that was a big deal back then. It was like the president is taking this miracle drug. Hell, I bought stock in the company that was producing it because I was like, this is the miracle drug. I'm going to make millions. I did not make millions, but let me tell you, like, did you have people asking for that stuff or like what?
I don't think I did really. The people who end up getting the medications to treat COVID are the ones who are being hospitalized and are most of the time they're requiring supplemental oxygen. So I don't think they're too,
at that point, you don't give a shit.
Right. I think they're more concerned with like breathing.
Yeah, right. I don't care what you stick in me.
Right.
If ground up dog anus will save my life, put it in my mouth. Like, I don't care.
Or if it's Thursday.
No, I never actually used hydroxychloroquine. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I never do that one. So.
So I'm sorry I didn't see this question. She asked, out of all of that, what was the hardest part? I'm not really sure what that's pertaining to. I'm sorry, but so take us through. So now we're into April, into May, June, July. So summer's hitting.
Yeah.
And that was, if I remember correctly, that was right around the time, June, July, August, that they were saying that we were going to open, then close again, and then I don't know because it's the best. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you have to.
Because I have so many just wandering around the house. No, so about that time they were talking about how the cold will kill the virus. We're gonna wait, just get to winter, and everything will be good. Blah blah, like that kind of thing. Now we're starting to hit the 100,000, 200,000 sick point, or 100,000 sick. It's starting to really climb at this point. You guys had to have been full by fall of last year.
Yeah, it was October 20th ish. I remember it very specifically. I think a lot of it also has to do with that was the time when it just started getting cold. I'm not really sure the thought process of it getting colder and that's going to help. But once it gets cold, everyone goes inside. We're closing our windows. We're not spending any time outside. We're clustered all together. So I think that probably had a lot to do with the spike in late October. Along with other things, but.
So are you kind of in that camp where it's if you get outside and you get fresh air and you get the sunlight and stuff like that, that helps your immune system? Is that kind of where you're going with this, or do you think that there's really nothing you can do short of stay clean and stuff like that?
Where I was going with that is just that I think obviously transmission is more likely to happen if you're clustered together. You're inside together. In the summertime, everyone's doing kind of outdoor stuff. It's a little bit easier to social distance when you're outside. Just that kind of thing. I don't think that's exactly 100% why it spiked, but I have a feeling that's what helped that.
Man, I remember, early June, late June, when they're like, yeah, you're allowed to go outside. You guys can go to the park. You can do other things. You're not stuck in your house, man. It was crazy. Everyone had a fucking kayak. Everyone had new mountain bikes. It's oh, we can finally go outside.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You got that stimulus money, baby. I'm talking on my stimulus money right here. You said that you remember the date pretty specifically. Is there anything that happened around then that you were oh, damn, it's October 26th. Gertrude punched me in the face.
It was I do remember the date. It was October 20 something. That was right when it started getting cold though. And that's why I'm saying this, because I was maybe it's getting cold. It was just a thought process that's not backed by anything.
Oh, okay.
And that's when you were the fullest. That's when it was at its worst.
What's that?
That's when it was at its worst, when your hospital was absolutely full. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's just when the second wave kind of started back up in October. Yeah, when we started seeing the cases spiking again. Because before that, it was great. If you remember, COVID, we still talked about it, but there would be times when I didn't see a COVID patient for a good amount of time.
That's true. I do remember the lull, and that was when everyone was talking about, oh yeah, we're going to open back up soon.
Yeah.
That's when the hoax stuff started really hitting hard. Was oh, this isn't real. I'm listen. I have family who's in the medical field, in the ER. This shit is real. There's no hoax about it. Whether the numbers are real or not, that's, again, if you go back and watch some of our earlier shows, Mike and I had this conversation about hoax maybe, but as far as the numbers go, but coronavirus is real. That's real. There's no hoax there.
Yeah. And I remember saying it when it was in the summer last time. It was things are great right now, but this winter, it's inevitably, it's gonna spike right back up. Now in terms of this next winter coming up, I think right now, especially with the vaccine, I think during the warm months, it's gonna be like last year, but better. So I think we're gonna have a lot less COVID cases in the warm months. But now that we have the vaccine, we're already seeing places starting to lift restrictions and whatnot, which is a good thing, but it might be a little bit premature just because we're starting to see those cases tick back up. So,
Mike was just talking about that he might have gotten a little word about his schools are closing again, right?
Yeah. They gave us the letter hey, we're not closing schools yet, but just in case, be fucking ready, but not yet.
Yeah.
And last time we had that letter, they didn't go to school for 2 months. So it's looking like it's going to happen again. It's fuck, man.
Yeah. So, let's go back to last year. And again, by all means, if I'm crossing the line with any of these questions, you just be like, hey, shut the fuck up, old man. Like, I don't need to hear from you, whatever, But we saw pictures and stuff now, Cuomo and all that nonsense, but we saw pictures in New York and some of these bigger hospitals now towards the end of last year where they had like refrigerator trucks full of bodies, and a lot of people were dying in their homes because there was just nowhere to go.
Yep.
I mean, did you guys see anything to that extreme, or did you have to deal with any of that like personally, or again, I don't want to lie.
I can remember it being pretty terrible at the hospital I work at, but also looking at places like New York City and being like, whoa, like they're getting hit. Like I remember what you're talking about, the pictures. I saw them too, but yeah, New York City definitely got hit pretty hard.
It's different than New York City is different than anywhere in the country, of course, like with the exception of Los Angeles, something like that. But even in Connecticut, I mean, there's still a lot of people. It's not like it's Rhode Island, right? I mean, we're talking a lot of people there, and it's got to be rough. I mean, what were they? Not like, I'm sure there weren't like mass graves and stuff, but it's like it had to been kind of rough, huh?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's difficult to tell because in the emergency department, our job was to stabilize someone enough, until they can go upstairs, go to one of the floors, one of the ICUs, and that's where they would either fix them or they wouldn't. You know what I mean? So you don't really get to see their whole course.
Okay, gotcha.
It wasn't often that we saw. I mean, we did see it, but it wasn't often that we would see the amount of COVID patients dying, because it's like this person comes in and they can't breathe. Let's put a tube in their throat and send them off to one of the ICUs where they can, do what they do up there and try to fix them. So. The mortality, we didn't see too much down in the ED. That was mostly upstairs.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I mean, how is that, like most jobs, especially when you're working, nut to butt with all your colleagues, it's like and during an emergency, I go back to like the military, or go back to like the restaurants, stuff like that. The oil fields. Mike has a history in the oil fields. It's like you become a family. Obviously, there's a lot of employees, and you can't know them all. But your crew is your crew, and you get close. And it's like, did you see a lot of like mental health issues or anything like that with people, workers? You know what I mean?
With the stress, handling the stress and everything else going on.
Yeah, people handled it differently, but at the same time, like I know. Where I work, like you don't really go into emergency if you don't like that sort of adrenaline, fast paced kind of like go. So I think a lot of I wouldn't say everyone thrived in it, but I think everyone handled it really well. And there was a lot of support if you needed it, not just like with your peers, but just what they offered within the hospital. Like it was a good environment where if you wanted to like decompress, like there's so many people there, you can always kind of, talk about it. So I really didn't see too much of that. But I definitely know there was a lot of people who weren't able to handle it. The best.
For sure.
Yeah. So.
I hear you. It's gotta be, I mean, obviously, especially, in these type of high stress situations, these type of high stress jobs, careers, everyone, I joke about the restaurant all the time. You get mental health issues and substance abuse problems, and that's what you get as your retirement package, and and then like I'm assuming it's pretty similar, in the ER, especially at any given moment. There's always something. The emergency department is an emergency department. There's something happening, always going on there. And then when this pandemic, it just had to add, just had to sandwich it on. I mean, were you guys having to deal with? Is there anything that happened that was like, man, this guy just got blown up, and now we got to give him a COVID test.
Right, exactly. Yes, yeah. That was kind of difficult. A lot of the times, like somebody would come in for like, let's say a trauma, they got in a car accident or something. And so, you're not really wearing all your full PPE. And then, so there's 100 people in the room. Later on, you find out that guy also had COVID. things like that were kind of difficult to manage. That's why, again, we started wearing the mask the entire time.
Which makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, people weren't happy about it, but what are you going to do? People come in, they walk in right off the street. You have no idea who has it. It's really your only other option.
So
how has it changed now? Are you guys, is family allowed in the hospitals yet? Or is it still, if something happens, you're by yourself?
So I left the emergency department like a couple months ago. I know now that I work inpatient, I work in one of the ICUs. It's after 8 days. If somebody's in the hospital for over 8 days, you can come. Or if they're like end of life. So if they're like about to go, you can have family. So still for that first week, you're still kind of doing like the Zoom calls and stuff, which is really unfortunate. I can't imagine having a family member in the hospital and having to FaceTime.
Zoom call them. Yeah, I can't imagine. That'd be horrible.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially with family and stuff. Were you? Sorry, my phone is blowing up over here. Were you having to, I don't want to say like escort people out because obviously it's not your job, but were you having to be like, sorry, I know this is your mom or daughter or whatever, and be like, hey, you just can't be here? Were you having to deal with that a lot?
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes a lot of that landed on the the nurses who would be in the waiting room and whatnot and dealing with those families head on. But now that since there was a visitor restriction, I did a lot more talking to family over the phone, and people were definitely upset they couldn't come in, but it's totally justified. You know what I mean? I can't imagine what that would feel like to have like your mom or something like in the hospital and you can't. All you can do is call, and like we're busy, so we try to return your calls, but trying to call in and maybe we can't get to the phone right away, like I'm sure that builds up a lot of anxiety. So I can't really imagine.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be tough. I mean, just not being able to, because it used to be pretty accessible. Just you take your child to the emergency room and you just sit with your child.
Yeah.
I mean,
there was as many family members there as you want. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, until they move them to wherever. So yeah, it's got to be really rough.
Yeah.
Here's how has your life changed outside the hospital during the pandemic? This is a really interesting question.
How has your life changed outside the hospital during the? I think outside of the hospital, I kind of felt guilty going anywhere because I was around so much COVID. So even like going to the grocery store, I would just be like, I definitely wouldn't travel anywhere in my scrubs, like my work uniform. But even just being around it, because you could be asymptomatic with COVID. I just would feel I wouldn't want to like go near anyone. And even at my house, like I was always wearing my mask, like or at my parents' house, just being around them. Because I didn't want to give it to anyone,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a lot of times around my parents I've worn a mask, because I work on the public. I've got factories all the time, so I'm around people. So same thing, yeah. Like I don't want you in my car with me if I don't have a mask on. Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's better. It's like if wearing the mask, doesn't do anything, then it's like, okay, we'll wear a mask for no reason. But if it helps to not give someone COVID, it's like, oh, well, then it was worth wearing a mask. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I mean, you hear that. You always see those. They start popping up a lot. With you guys in your particular profession, you see a lot of nurse videos, especially with the rise of TikTok and things like that. It was like, yeah, the first thing I do is I get in the door, I strip completely down, throw my scrubs in a bag, and go shower.
Yeah.
I can't be like hugging my kids. I can't be like saying hi to my husband or my wife. I have to just, I have to make sure that I'm keeping them safe. And even then, people were feeling really guilty about it. And, I definitely get it.
Yeah. I worked with a guy I think it was June. He couldn't even go inside of his house. Like he'd visit with his kids through his window, but his wife wouldn't let him in the house because he had to go to work. Yeah. So he had to be at this factory, and his wife's like, nope, you're not bringing it to the kids. So he stayed in a hotel, and he couldn't even visit with his kids for like a month, 2 months, whatever it was.
People were scared. Very smart. Yeah, it makes sense, though. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Did you see a rise in your coworkers with did you get COVID? Like, was it like a thing where like, oh damn, Susan just got COVID. Well, now what?
Once it started picking up, we would joke, be like, all right, well, we're all bound to get it at this point, because it was just everywhere. So, certain people started getting it, and like I said, I was surprised. Like I have no idea how I didn't get it. So, I I guess some people are more vulnerable to getting it. I'm not sure if they got it outside of work where maybe they, you know, weren't wearing the, you know, mask or anything like that. But some people got it, some people didn't. There's no really telling why.
Yeah, you said you got.
That's the craziest fucking thing about this bug, though, man. Because some people, like I worked around a guy all day. He had COVID, and we were like face to face working on a machine together, and I didn't get it at all. I was fine. So it's like it's so weird how it just skips people.
Or like, you know, an 80-year-old will get it and they'll be like, yeah, I had the sniffles for 3 days, and then like a 20-year-old will get it and like dies from it. So it's just there's no telling, you know, what's gonna happen if you get it.
We had 2 people on my block here that that passed away, separate households, they're older folk.
Yeah.
And they passed away early on, like really early on in the pandemic. And that's what really kind of nailed it home for us. It was like, this is real. Like,
Yeah.
Real. Like this woman's father just passed away.
Yeah.
Both my parents got COVID. Yeah, and my mom still has trouble tasting. She lost her taste and smell, but she can smell now. She lost her, or she doesn't taste very well. My dad had, I guess his symptoms were he was just really tired all the time. He had like gastric distress, like he was always running to the toilet and so couldn't keep anything down. He said he lived on ramen for weeks. And then
so back to college days, huh?
Like college, right? Yeah, then they got over it, and they both, because they're above the age group in Florida, they both got the vaccines. Then afterwards, my mom got Pfizer, and my dad got Moderna.
Nice.
But yeah, it's just, you know, it's crazy to see that some people can just get it and they have no symptoms at all. Or, you know, you're 20 years old and healthy and you fucking die.
Yeah.
Or the randomness of the symptoms, man. Because, you know, when it first started, a list fucking a mile long. If you stub your toe, it's clearly because you had fucking COVID.
Right.
Like everything that happens, you're like, oh my God, I'm dead.
Yeah.
I got it.
For real though, it was scary. And remember in the beginning, it was like, the COVID could last for 4 hours on surfaces. So it's like, if you stay inside and you get your groceries delivered, you got to leave them out in the garage for 4 hours. Some shit. We're like, what?
Like I had to reassure myself. Like I ran up the stairs and I'm out of breath. I'm like, no, you're fat. It's good. You don't have COVID. And it's like, God damn it, man.
Yeah.
It's every fucking time.
Yeah. Every time, bend down and tie my shoe. I'm out of breath. I got COVID.
Yeah. It messes with you for sure.
No, I can't imagine, especially for you guys, that had to have been really rough, you know, like every time you cough, you're like, shit.
Oh, every time. Oh my God. I remember I went out and bought a thermometer. I was like, it was the same thing. I think I was like thinking I was short of breath at one point, and I was like, well, this is it. That's it. It's a good run.
I remember it was like April. I had a little cough, I had bronchitis, and my wife's like, I'm going to get some cough drops. Like, you can't go to the store and buy cough drops. Like someone will fucking take you out. You gotta don't do that.
Are these cough drops, ma'am? No, I tell you, I'm even afraid to cough now. Like if I get like a tickle in my throat, I'm like diving for like to get into the bathroom and cough quietly into my chest. Like, I'm like, no, I'm fine. Just it's wild. It's scary. It's gonna be a scary time for the next few years, I think. Just in general.
Yeah.
If I cough in public, they're gonna harpoon me.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
This is totally true. We absolutely did this. We had to Lysol our groceries. I remember there's a period where everything was isolated. I was the only one that went to the store. I came back. I stripped down, got clean. She disinfected groceries for an hour and a half. It was insane. It was completely fucking insane. The things we were doing.
Like Lysol.
Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
No, that's how it was. That's how it was here. It was like being in the restaurant. You wash like you would wash as a a medical professional. You scrub basically. So it was like real easy for me to adapt. I'm just like, okay, I just wash all the way down to my elbows. Yeah. I'm ready to scrub in, kind of a thing. But it was like, man, everything scrub. We came in from outside. Wash your hands for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Don't stop washing your hands, and then wash them again just in case. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
It was terrifying, man. It was like never knew what to do. I mean, so, okay, I'm sorry, we got a little sidetracked. So go back to, now we're talking October, through October, you're getting into the holiday seasons now. I'm going so-and-so, I'm going here for Thanksgiving. I don't give a, what Dr. Fauci says, he can eat a dick.
Yeah.
I'm going to Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
So like, you know, you got all these people, and then there was a spike, of course.
Huge spike.
What was your mindset there? You're like, I mean, you had to know that this was going to happen.
Yeah, it was going to happen. Yeah, it was inevitable. It kind of has to happen. I mean, you know, I don't necessarily blame people for, you know, for wanting to see, you know, their relatives on the holidays. I really don't. And, you know, I understand, you know, if your whole family's getting together, it's kind of hard to be the one to be like, maybe this isn't a good idea. I kind of was saying, you know, like maybe it's a better idea to, you know, skip this one round of holidays so that you can have, you know, 10 more years of holidays ahead, you know, and instead of being like, you know, narrow mind, like
yeah,
nearsighted, yeah, thinking about this round of holidays. But you know, I understand people wanting to get together, especially if you have, you know, like older relatives and stuff, and like, you know, you don't see them all. Like, I'm not gonna be that person who's like calling people stupid for seeing their family members. But
well, of course, I mean,
that fucking moron.
Yeah. people want to see their families. It's true,
right.
You know. But at the same time, it's like if you want to see them next year,
right?
Are you willing to roll the dice? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Well, I think this is the first time that people have been put in that position where, you know, your decisions could kill someone you care about even more than anything else. You know, just bring it home. It's just, and some people took it to heart. Some people were scared shitless of it, and some people just didn't seem to give a fuck. It's just like, whatever. It's June, and they're walking around no mask at the grocery store. Just, I don't give a fuck.
Shit, there's still now. I mean, there's still people that wear their mask around their bottom lip, and it's just like, dude, come on, like, don't even wear it. Like, just be a complete asshole. Like, don't just be half an asshole.
It's so much harder not to wear. Like, just put it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's actually got to be more difficult to wear it here.
Wear
it normally.
I wouldn't like it on my lip. It'd bother me, I think.
Yeah, it blows my mind. Or they just wear it around their chin, and it's like, yeah, it's on. It's like, all right, dude.
So, Kat asked a question here, man. That's what I was going to ask too. You know, being that you were in the hospitals and you saw, you know, firsthand what was really happening, was there anything that, you know, the government did, any kind of lockdowns, whatever, that you thought were just unnecessary, too much, you know, didn't need to have happen?
You know, whether or not, like, it's easy in hindsight to say whether or not something was an over or under reaction. But I think it just goes back to, you know, we had no idea what it was or how fast it was going to spread or what it was going to do. So I think people acted, you know, with the best intent when it came to closing things down. I don't think it was, you know, and anybody closed anything down to be malicious. It was just, you know, what we thought was right at the time.
Yes.
Whether or not it was an over and under reaction is, you know, it's hindsight's 2020. So,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, looking back, we can, you know, we could have.
Right.
I mean, that's, you didn't know at the time. I mean, again, we didn't know anything about this, and it's like, as a society, we're demanding answers. Like, there are no answers. That's not how this works.
Yeah.
We don't know yet.
Yeah. And people say, like, you know, if we downplayed it in the beginning, kind of thing, but it's like, that was, you know, when COVID first hit Connecticut, that was the word, you know, doctors and nurses were all saying, well, it's just the flu. Like, it's not.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
I remember that was the word we were all saying. I was telling people that. I was like, it's just the flu. I wouldn't worry about it, kind of thing. So, but we didn't know. That's
well, unfortunately, people hold on to that shit. They're like, oh, in January, they said it was no big deal. So in April, it's still no big deal.
Right.
It's July, there's 50,000 dead. Yeah, no big deal still, because this guy said it in January.
And we still learn new things every day. So
yeah,
the mortality rate thing is what really kills me. It's like, oh, it only kills like 1% of people, but 1% of 300 million is a lot of fucking people. Like, that's a lot of people. Like, I mean, you know, if we had that many 9/11s, man, we'd be pretty fucking pissed.
Yeah, and now it's not only, you know, the mortality rate; it's what happens after you get COVID. You know what I mean? All these people who are hospitalized months after they get COVID because, you know, they're getting blood clots and problems with their heart and stuff. So, you know, it's just like, still learning. So.
Yeah, and that's you know, we'll get into that in a second, but that's what people are really scared of is, like, you know, there are people that I know that got COVID months ago and they're still like, I can't taste anything. Like, I've lost my sense of taste. And it's like, that's fucking scary, dude.
No, I'm a fat guy. I love food. I love food so much.
That would end my culinary.
Yeah.
If I couldn't taste anymore, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm done. It ended my profession.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's scary because like you said, we have no idea what the long-term effects of this really is, or even it could shorten our lives. The people who got COVID, they might, they might have took 10 years off their life, 20 years.
Yeah. We don't know.
It's all speculation.
Yeah.
Might make them live forever. Who
Yeah.
I'm looking at the negative, man. Maybe they'll grow.
Yeah.
You live forever, but you can't taste anything and your dick don't work. It's like, oh God.
Wait.
Oh, that was like a vaccine side effect, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it's a small dick. No, if you got the vaccine, it's big dick shot. That's what.
Oh, okay, good.
Anyway, so let's just play the game for a second. If you knew then what you know now, what would you have done if you had the power to do anything? Obviously, you're not whatever. You're not the puppet master. You can't just pull strings, but let's just say you could.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I think a quicker response would have been beneficial, obviously, if we had known. It's hard to say because it's like, we didn't know what we know now at the time. Treatments are way better. I think, a lot of people had some negative outcomes with COVID that if we knew then what we know now, maybe they wouldn't have. So, that's hard to say, but at the time that was what we thought was best. So
if you like, is there anything that you kind of know now that you're like, hey man, it was such a waste of time to, like you said earlier, put everybody on a ventilator.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you thought that we did, that was just, man, that was so stupid. Like we should have just given everybody hydrochloroquine and everyone would have been happy.
No, there wasn't any like crazy. I'm trying to think of any, we didn't have the medications we do now in the first wave. Now the only time we medicate for COVID is in like more severe illness. So if you're requiring oxygen, you're staying in the hospital. We tell people with like mild cases of COVID the same thing now as we did before. Is just ride it out at home. Stay away from people. Just your basic things we told people before COVID. If you have the flu, don't go around people and don't cough on each other. So, as far as like what you do when you have it, it's kind of the same. Treat the symptoms.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Did you So Ray had a question. Do you see a lot of like children? I'm gonna assume we'll call them under 15.
That's hard to say because I work in an adult emergency department. So I honestly, I have zero clue. I heard that kids didn't get it as much as adults. That's all I know.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask too. I got kids in school, and so I know exactly why Ray's asking. It's like, man, what are we doing now?
I don't take care of any kids.
Why don't you have all the answers? Dude?
I know. Why the fuck do we have you on? This is bullshit. God
Don't
damn
call
it,
the expert on. No.
Yeah.
This is more Nick Fauci over here.
So Ray also says he might have got COVID.
Oh yeah, no, he definitely had COVID. Yeah,
sounds like COVID.
I'm sorry, baby. I had COVID.
Again, I got it twice.
That's the first case, 1992. He had COVID. Let's see. What is this here?
Log one.
So we could have done things. Yeah. Wow.
That's a really long comment, but I mean, it's hard to say what should have been done. Like I said before, other shows, and you can't blame Big Gretch in Michigan for what happened with COVID. You can't blame Trump for what happened with COVID. Maybe getting towards October, start blaming Trump, but not for what happened in February. You know what I mean? No one knew what the fuck was coming.
I don't blame Trump for what, like the beginning of this whole thing. How could no one knew what to do.
Yeah.
No one knew what it was. I mean, even the experts were like, it's killing people across, overseas. We have no clue what the fuck's going on. Like, we're gonna try.
I remember watching the videos in Italy, Italy especially, watch to see what's happening.
Yeah, like the dead.
Had to be terrifying for you, Nick, to see shit going on in Italy. Like, oh man, this is coming.
Yeah, that was exactly it. It was Italy that gave us that. I was trying to remember. It was Italy that gave us the heads up. Like, it was like a week after Italy started locking down.
Yeah, they were dragging their dead into the streets to be collected.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Yeah,
it was nuts. Man. I remember
times, man. That's like bring out your dead.
Yeah,
that's crazy. But yeah, what's it? We'll move forward here now. We're into January, February, March now. This year, things are starting to die down. The vaccine is flowing freely.
Yeah.
Like glitter at a strip club. So like, what what the consensus, in the hospital here, Kate had a really good question. Vaccine is a hot button issue right now. People are like, hey, this shit hasn't been tested. I don't want to grow a dick out of my head. Like that's, I'm scared. Like what would be, as a healthcare professional, what would you say to people who are like, hey, I don't know if I want to get vaccinated?
Yeah. I've said it from the beginning, I don't blame anybody who's hesitant about getting it. I think it's more concerning if you don't approach getting the vaccine with like a healthy amount of hesitancy. Like I think I encourage people to do their own research, and I'm actually surprised at how many people are getting the vaccine because even myself, I was hesitant. I know a lot of my peers were hesitant. And I was afraid that when it got released to the public, like no one was going to get it.
You're vaccinated, right?
I am, yeah. And so I only decided to take the vaccine when I started listening to people around me who, know more than I do. And, I respect their opinion. So I was definitely hesitant at the beginning, which, like I said, I don't blame anyone for being, but the pros definitely outweigh the cons. People are right. It's approved for emergent use. But after seeing what COVID can do and the long-term effects of COVID, that kind of, sealed the deal for me. That made me want to get it. So,
yeah. What'd you get, Moderna or Pfizer?
Moderna, yeah. Moderna. And that's the other reason I don't blame people is because they don't really see the, what COVID does to people in the hospital. You ask them, it's like, well, I don't know anyone who's had COVID and, these numbers, I don't know.
It's fake. It's fucking fake. It's
right.
It's a hoax.
And which is why I'm thinking like, if I wasn't in healthcare, like, what would I think? Because you don't see these people, sick and dying every day. So I don't know, maybe I wouldn't be getting either, but I think I just encourage people to listen to, people who work with it every day and see it and, try to form their own opinion with some sort of facts.
Yeah. And I'm not going to try to throw you out in the spotlight here, but just so you know that, if you don't know Nick, which none of you do, he's not like this tree hugging, Fauci lover.
I had the wrong impression the whole time.
This is the guy who does his research, and he is not just saying get the vaccine because it's the liberal thing to do. Like it's just not. That's not the case.
Right.
I think it's what you said is absolutely correct. It's absolutely smart. You should do your research before you're like, I'm not getting it. Or I'm going to get it. I don't care what happens. Shoot it into my pee hole.
Right. I think both of those are bad mindsets. And I think a reason a lot of people are getting it is because, we started getting it back in, I think I got mine early January. And, everyone who got it back then months ago, like we're all doing just fine. Like I think people are seeing that now that everyone is getting it, no one's dropping dead.
Yeah.
So,
the hesitation there is, people are like, I don't know what the long-term effects of this vaccine is going to be, but you also don't know the long-term effects of what COVID is going to be. So, you really got to roll the dice here and decide, I know what COVID does to people.
Right.
And we've talked about this vaccine over a few months on the show. And, at first I was very hesitant, like, I'm definitely, I don't know, maybe not, I'm not sure. And, to me, the thing that's making me want to get it now is, I could be around family without feeling guilty. Like you mentioned before, I'm guilty about going outside. I could be around my parents and not have to worry about giving them COVID, and that's been a weird thing. I've seen my parents a handful of times in the last year for that reason, because I'm just so scared shitless.
I haven't seen my parents since Christmas of last year or somewhere around there. I mean, it's been a full year since I've seen my parents.
And that's kind of pushing my decision towards getting the vaccine now is just, I want the peace of mind of knowing I'm not going to kill someone I care about.
Right. And like you said about the long-term effects, it's like, you have to outweigh the pros and cons. It's like, I don't blame people for not seeing it, but after working with it, I'm much more afraid of the long-term effects of COVID than I am of the potential long-term effects of this vaccine, which we haven't seen anything, crazy with the vaccine yet. I know it's still brand new, but, COVID's looking worse.
Yeah, and I think I'm exactly on the same page as you. It's not the fact that that there couldn't be side effects. There absolutely could be. I don't believe that Bezos is injecting us with microchips.
Yeah.
I don't. If it is, then so be it. Whatever. I mean, it's bound to happen regardless.
Ray makes a good point though. Like you've never seen a good ending to a medicine commercial, and it's the same thing with the vaccine. There's going to be side effects. There's going to be this and this that happens, and you know, when you're choosing to take a blood pressure medicine, you're looking at the side effects of potential, you know, bad things that can happen to you, and you're weighing it, you know.
Yeah.
Do I want to have a fucking stroke, or do I want to be dizzy? You know, you're trying to figure it out like that. Everything has side effects. Everything has concerns. It's just weighing the pros and cons of it.
Yeah, I don't think that I don't, you know, while I'm not a pharmaceutical rep by any means, all medicine, anything foreign that you have that you're putting into your body are going to have side effects.
Yeah.
You eat 10 pounds of marijuana, you're gonna die. I'm sorry. Like, there's just no, you're never die, but you're gonna die. It's like, yes, there's always going to be side effects no matter what the medication is. So yeah, there's no short ending to a medicine commercial, but there's no short ending to any Tylenol.
Yeah, you know? Tylenol can kill you. Take too much Tylenol.
Yeah, you drink eye drops, you're gonna be puking your brains out. Like, I mean, there's all those things. It always happens. So
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The government is out to get them. This is like fringe kind of QAnon stuff, I think. I don't think that in the medical field that's really.
Are you worried about microchips, Nick? Are you worried about getting chipped and the government's tracking you now for a microchip from your vaccine?
The microchip thing too. I know it's like really cliche to say, but it's like we all have smartphones. Like everybody knows where we live. Like my phone like knows the 3D dimensions of my face and my fingerprint.
Yeah.
I'm 0% worried about a microchip.
Yeah, we were at a restaurant a few weeks ago and a guy was freaking out like, "Oh, I'm not signing in. You can't make me sign in."
Yeah,
and he's got a fucking phone in his pocket tracking his every move and everything.
The government has known about
they fucking know.
Like, there's. And on top of it, I mean, they're just gonna laser you from space. Like they don't bother you, like whatever.
Yeah.
No one's coming to get you.
No, and you know that's the thing. It says we're talking about FDA approval. It's FDA approved for emergent use. I believe for it to be FDA approved, like they have to have like a longer trial. It is since it is a new
explain emergent use.
So I'm definitely not an expert, but I know basically like emergent use is that like what we're seeing now is you know it's the pros are definitely going to outweigh the potential cons of it. You know, if it were to be FDA approved, I believe it would take a lot longer. And by the time it was fully FDA approved, it's like, you know, we'd all be
fucked.
So yeah.
I mean, sometimes you have to break it down Barney style because Mike is stupid. So
yeah, I'm a fucking moron.
No, I mean, so if the FDA is going to be like, hey, this is going to stop the pandemic or at least slow it down. Yeah. Then, hey, you know, and it's like it's just another one of those things. It's like I'm not going to take it if the government says it's not approved, but I'm also not going to take it if the government says I have to.
It's like, all right, right. Well, it's the only option, right? It's the only option. I mean, if you want COVID for 5 more years, we could do that, but you know, a vaccine is going to be the quickest way to.
I mean, aside from locking down completely for like 6 months, aside from doing that where no one leaves their house for any reason, we're going to figure some other way to do it. And a vaccine seems to be the way to go.
Yeah.
Here's a really interesting question. I mean, have you seen this?
Yeah, so I've been looking for it, but I haven't seen any. No, nobody I know that's been vaccinated has gotten COVID. And that's the other thing is we don't know how long the vaccine lasts. Like this could be an annual thing, like when you get a flu shot. You know, it could be, I've heard 3 months or a year. So we're still learning more about it, but I haven't known anyone to get COVID since they've gotten the vaccine. So.
Got you. So yeah, I mean, we're talking. This is from what I mean. Again, I'm no expert, but this is from what I understand. Is like COVID is the same type of virus as the flu, right?
The cold.
Sorry. So it can mutate and it changes and stuff like that. Most mutations, they do nothing. There's nothing that changes it for whatever. But if we can stop this outbreak now before it can mutate, then we might not have to get it biannually or annually. Like we not have to worry about taking the vaccine so often if we can stop the mutations. And the only way to do that is for the herd immunity, you know, because we are fucking animals. I mean, you say what you want. We're all animals.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good thought. Is that like a possibility? I don't know how many people are going to get the vaccine. Like, I don't, I can't see COVID being gone in a couple months. You know what I mean? But maybe it'll be better. And that's the thing with the vaccine. Like while, you may not be 100% protected from getting it. Like you have a great shot of not having a severe case of it. So, and that's what we're all worried about. You know what I mean? You don't want to.
Well, that's why you take the flu shot. I mean,
Right.
the flu shot's not going to prevent you from getting the flu, but if you get it, a day or two with some Tamiflu, you're back on your feet. If you don't have a flu shot, you're fucksville for like 2 weeks.
Right. Like I don't mind having a cough for a couple of days, but I just, I don't want to die of COVID. So the vaccine.
Weird.
Yeah.
Pussy.
Might be unpopular.
No, man. So going forward, I mean, any advice, anything, we're kind of getting towards the end of our time here. You're not in the emergency room there anymore, right?
No, I'm in one of the ICUs. So
okay,
yeah,
that's awesome. Right? Are you happy about that? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Totally different, but it's cool. As far as going forward, I don't know. I'm hopeful. I think this summer is going to be, I think people are going to, again, kind of forget about COVID. Whether or not it picks up again in the winter, we'll see how many people get vaccinated. I think maybe don't jump the gun with forgetting about COVID. Maybe wait until like the numbers support it. I don't know, use common sense. There might be some
Laura, no.
Lord, I doubt it. God. Maybe get 2 vaccines. Only Moderna. Only Moderna.
No, so so going forward, then we'll try to stay the course. I mean, as wear your mask in public, wash your hands, like care about people, and try not to cough into each other's mouths.
Right, like we're all in the same boat. You know what I mean? So yeah,
absolutely.
So, yeah.
So. Well, hey, man, really appreciate you coming on tonight.
Yeah, man, thank you so much. It was awesome.
But definitely do appreciate you taking some time.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me.
No, yeah, of course. Stick around afterwards. We'll talk a little bit. So.
All right,
guys, thanks for watching, man. Thanks for your comments. Share the show. Let's get us some views.
Yeah. All right, see you guys.
Thanks, guys.